that instead of having a generic message like this, hey teenager, welcome to programming, for anybody who is between 13 and 19, you want to keep a distinct message for every age. That is, for 13 years old, you want to have one message, for 14 years, another message, and so on, all the way up to 19. How would you do that? One way of doing that is using a series of if-else statement. Let's do that. Here is the full program in which for every age group you have a separate message. So for somebody who is 13, you have a message which says, hey, you're the youngest teenager I know. And for 14, it is, hey, this is the age of pimples and spots. Hope you're managing it well. So on and on it goes all the way up to 19. And if somebody is not within this range, for all others, they are going to get this message. So for all the others who don't belong between 13 and 19, they are going to get this message. And look at this conditional here. It is double equal to. What it means is, if the age is exactly equal to 13, that's when you come into this block. And the same thing goes with all the others. So if this is false, then it jumps here. And if this is false, then the program of execution jumps here. And it keeps jumping from one block to another till it finds some place where it is true. But none of these conditional turns out to be true. Then it falls to the last one, which is the default else, in which it eventually prints out this message if none of the others are true. Even though this is a good program, the moment you have several if-else statements like this is a really good use case for using a switch statement. And next we are going to understand what is a switch statement. So again, remember, whenever you have a series of if-else statement, it's a good idea for you to replace that if-else with a case switch statement. So here is the program which does exactly the same functionality as what you saw with the if-else statement, except this is using switch case construct. So what exactly is the switch case construct? Well, we got the age from the user. Here is what the switch case construct does. You can give any of the data types which belong to byte, short, int, string, or char. So these are the different data types that you can give. So based on the value that this variable has, it switches to one of the cases. So if the user gave 13, so age is evaluated to 13 here, it switches to this case, which is 13, and it executes this block of code. And of course, after executing that block of code, you should have a break. If you don't have this break statement, then it's going to fall through and it will start executing all of these statements one by one if there is no break. If there is a break, then it comes out of the switch block. So the switch block ends here. So with the switch block, again, you start with a curly brace, end with a curly brace, and then each of the case statement has a curly brace starting and an ending. However, note that you really don't have to give this curly brace starting and ending. Even if you don't give this curly brace also, this case block is valid. Nevertheless, it's a good practice to keep the curly braces here so that it's clear which set of statements make up the case block. If the age is 13, it jumps to this case, if it is 14 here, and so on. And if the age does not match any of these cases, then it goes to the last default case. For the default case, as you can see, there is no evaluation at all. So the default case will be picked up if none of these other cases are valid. And of course, you don't need to have a break for this last default case, basically because after the statement is executed, it comes out. So you don't need to put the break for the last one. But break is required for the rest of the cases unless you really want it to follow through. Means to say, let's say that you remove this break here. You remove this break, and then I'm going to save it and then compile it. Run it. So I'm going to input 13. Now what happened? We have two statements printed out. Hey, you're the youngest teenager I know. hey, this is the age of pimples and spot. Hope you're managing it well. Although this second statement is also valid for 13. For 13, the second statement is also valid. So in such cases, you can let go of the break and you can allow it to fall through to the next case. But the next case has a break. That's why none of these other cases were executed. If the break is removed here also, then it will follow through to case 15 and then 16 if all the breaks are removed. Okay. So, but anyway, for the last default, you don't need to have a break. After this block is executed, the switch block is terminated. And another caveat here is that you can also put this between a pair of parentheses, and that is useful when you want to replace that variable with an expression which evaluates to either a byte or a short or an int or a string.